Hey there, sixth graders. How y'all doing? Happy Wednesday. Halfway through the week after spring break. It's going fast. Today we're going to continue looking at the breaking down and falling apart of the Roman Empire and what factors led into it. And actually, we're going to see that parts of the Roman Empire will exist long after Rome collapses with what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to look at the factors that result in the splitting of the Roman Empire into an eastern and western half. And we're going to look at the long-term impact of two specific emperors, Diocletian and Constantine, and how they really not only shape Roman history, but we're going to see shape human history in many ways. So let's get right into it, and let's meet Diocletian. Handsome fella. Nice hat. I want a hat like that. You know, I kind of have the beard. I think I should have a hat like that. But anyway, you can tell I've been making this late at night. The Diocletian is kind of a unique story in comparison to many other Roman emperors. He wasn't born into wealth. He wasn't a patrician. He had to work his way up, claw his way up as a soldier in the imperial army, and because of his mind and his ability and his tenacity, he keeps moving up the ranks and ranks and ranks until he's the head of the Praetorian Guard, the main guards of the emperor, and one of the key advisors of the emperor. And as he's serving Rome and serving the Roman army, he sees that everything's on the verge of falling apart, and someone needs to step in and fix this. And one of the things that he is really known for is organization. He's really smart and can see the big picture in things. And when the emperor dies, Diocletian is chosen by the army as the new emperor, which he steps into. One of the things that Diocletian sets to do is to, in order to keep the empire intact as an entity, it needs to be split into smaller parts. So he wants to make Rome, as I say up there, smaller while keeping its overall power big. To this end, he chooses to split it into two halves, an eastern half and a western half. And the eastern half would be centered around Rome and would include Western Europe. The eastern half would be centered around present-day Turkey and would include Eastern Europe and the Asian parts of the empire. The African parts of the empire would be split by them. The East would control Egypt, and the West would control present-day Algeria, what they called Mauritania, which is an entirely separate country. One of the things he also realized that having one ruler rule over the entire giant empire just wasn't effective. So he thought that you had to split up the rule. And to this end, he names one of his most trusted friends and peers, a guy by the name of Maximin, to be the ruler in the West. It says the rule in the East. Sorry, forgot to change that. So Maximin rules in the West in Rome, and Diocletian rules in the East. And then he takes each half and spreads them out into more than 100 different provinces to have bureaucrats and leaders who are in charge of each area and governing it effectively. And he really tries to, by organizing and splitting things up into smaller parts, make Rome run better. He also puts in place a lot of economic reforms. He tries to fix Rome's devalued currency, so it doesn't become worthless as it was becoming. Tries to make the tax system more fair, and has it that the more wealthy pay more, and that the poor people paid less. And many aspects of the Diocletian tax code are still used in parts of the world today. If you look here, you can see a map kind of showing two different things. One shows the division of the Roman Empire under Diocletian. Here you see the western part controlled by Maximin, and the eastern part controlled by Diocletian. Diocletian's capital city was Nicomedia, which is going to be very close to a place that his successor, Constantinople, is going to set up his capital city that we'll call Constantinople. If you look on the right side of your screen, you can see some of the different provinces that Diocletian split and set the empire in, so that way it was a bit easier to control. And if you look, you also see this referring to the rise of Constantine. We'll be talking to him in part 2 of our lesson. So another big part of the rule of Diocletian is that he saw one of the reasons why Rome always descended into chaos is there wasn't a direct line of succession of who was going to rule Rome when one emperor died or, in his case, retired. So he set up an organization in which him and Maximin would be called the Augustus, naming themselves after the first emperor Augustus. But then their successors would be named the title of Caesar. So in all, you have 4 different rulers, each in charge of different areas of the empire, who govern the empire as a whole. This type of rule really only exists under Diocletian and is called a Tetra Archy, or Tetra Archy, and that is a rule by 4. Fun. That's a fun one to bust out. Diocletian is also unique in that he didn't rule until he died. He wasn't killed to leave. He didn't die of becoming sick and old like Augustus. Nope. Diocletian decided to retire. He ruled for close to 15 years and then wanted to peacefully step down and let a new ruler come into place. And he encouraged Maximin to do the same. Unfortunately for Diocletian, that's all going to fall apart when one of those Caesars, a guy by the name of Constantine, is going to want to rule the whole thing himself. So we'll check that out in part 2 of this lesson.